What's going on YouTube? Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's build video. In today's build video, our very first build video of Title Update 15, we're going to be taking a look at one of the best meta builds to use in PvP. Now, I posted this build on my Twitter account on May 14th. Now, I wanted to take some time out and really focus on getting some good PvP clips. If you're looking for the best counter to Heartbreaker, this is the build for you. Now, I know a lot of people are getting overwhelmed with the Heartbreaker gear set. There's a lot of bonus armor. A lot of people are assuming that it's OP, but there's a lot of good counters out there to counter Heartbreaker, and this build is definitely one of the builds that you need in your loadouts. So enough talk, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So this is the build that I'm using. I am using 4-piece System Corruption. Now with System Corruption, if you guys didn't know, this does give you pulse resistance up to 40%. Now with this new update, the developers added a pulse resistance mod. You can get up to 10%, reaching the cap of 100% pulse resist. Now, we talked about this being a good counter to Heartbreaker. Now I've been hearing a lot of arguments, especially online, about the fact that pulse resistance doesn't work with Heartbreaker. In a way, that is somewhat true because you can still stack bonus armor. Even if you have pulse resistance on your build, the Heartbreaker build can still stack that armor, hitting headshots. And one thing I want you guys to understand and to really keep in mind here is that the Heartbreaker gear set is really good because of the shotgun. When you're using the shotgun, whether it's the ACS-12 or the rock and roll variant, each pellet in the shotgun is a total of 8. So when you're doing body shots, you're gaining a total of +8 bonus armor. Now when you're using the shotgun to stack on the headshots, the hitbox is so small that most of the pellet spread starts to spread out and it doesn't hit the target. I believe there's a total of 2 bullets that hit the head if you're strafing around, moving around, or even standing still. Because of that pellet spread and the small hitbox of the headshots, it makes it harder to stack bonus armor. Now that we got that out of the way and we talked about the pulse resistance against Heartbreaker, I am going to have some PvP clips at the end of this video. So make sure that you're sticking around for the full build guide, and then we're going to have some PvP clips towards the end of the video. Now, as you can see on this build, I do have some expertise levels. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's go ahead and break down this gear set. So for our mask, we're using the new exotic mask Catharsis. This provides me with 170k armor. With my expertise level, I'm going to gain an additional 11% armor, 20% incoming repairs, 4,925 HP per second armor regen with a 6% critical hit chance mod. For the talent, we have Vicious Cycle. This is going to help increase our weapon damage. Taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud, which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. This mask is really good because this is going to increase my weapon damage as I'm taking damage, and on top of that, because we have System Corruption, we're able to pop our kit for additional damage. So you can see how the Catharsis mask is beneficial to this build. Now for our gear set, we have 4-piece System Corruption. The 2-piece bonus is going to give us an additional 15% armor on kill. The 3-piece bonus gives us 40% disrupt resist and 40% pulse resist. It gives us a total of 90% pulse resist. In order to counter Spotter, in order to counter Flatline, and in order to counter Heartbreaker, you need to make sure that you're at 100% pulse resist. For the 4-piece bonus, we have Hack Step Protocol. Replaces armor kits with an instant infinite use ability on a 20-second cooldown. Repairs 20% armor, grants 50% bonus armor, and hides your nameplate for 5 seconds. Increases total weapon damage by 1% per 5% bonus armor gained, up to 20%. Now because we are using the chest piece and the 4-piece bonus, we're going to get an additional talent with this build. For the chest piece talent, it decreases the Hack Step Protocol cooldown from 20 seconds to 15 seconds. Pretty much what this means is that my medkit cooldown will now be 15 seconds instead of 20 seconds on an infinite use. Now for our backpack, we are using System Corruption. Now because I'm using the backpack with the 4-piece bonus, we're going to get an additional talent on this build. Talent, we have Multi-Threaded Execution. Increases Hack Step Protocol bonus armor from 50% to 100%. Now based off this talent alone from the backpack, this is pretty much a full Heartbreaker stack if you think about it. Heartbreaker, a lot of people are using the chest piece, so they're able to stack up to 100% bonus armor. The difference in my build is when I pop a med kit, I'm now getting a full Heartbreaker stack every time I pop a kit. You can see how this is beneficial to play against the Heartbreaker gear set as a counter with the pulse resist. Now we have 170k armor, 12% critical hit damage as the attribute, with a 9.7% pulse resistance mod. Now keep in mind, I need a 10% pulse resistance mod. Because I only have 9.7%, that's going to bring me to 99.7%. We need to be at 100% pulse resistance. Because I don't have the mod, for now, I am using an additional pulse resistance mod to get me over that 100%. I have a 9.4% pulse resistance mod with 12% critical hit damage as the attribute, with 170k armor. Once I get that 10% pulse resist mod, I'm going to put that on my backpack, and I'm going to remove the 2 pulse resistance mods that I currently have on the build, and I'm going to replace the 9.4% pulse resist with 6% critical hit chance. For my knee pads, we are using the Fox's Prayer knee pads, 15% weapon damage, an additional 11% armor thanks to my expertise, 8% damage targets out of cover, and 12% critical hit damage. For our primary weapon of choice, we are using the FAMAS. This is going to give me an additional 9% weapon damage thanks to my expertise level, 15% assault rifle damage, 21% health damage, 10% damage targets out of cover, with the talent Optimist. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. Secondary weapon, we are using the MOP. Now because the System Corruption gear set gives us additional armor on kill, with the MOP shotgun, for the attribute, it comes with an additional 10% armor on kill. This is a really good utility weapon to use with this build. If your target is in a down state, you can switch to the MOP and finish them off for that additional armor on kill. For the talent, we have Optimist. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. We talked about expertise level. Now, one thing I do want you guys to keep in mind is that this new meta is all about weapon damage. You want to try to stack as much weapon damage as you can on your build. Whether that's weapon damage coming from your core attributes, whether that's talents on your chest piece and backpack, even on your weapons too as well. Now on this build, I have a total of 1.3 million armor. Now there's a reason for that. Most of the time, when I'm in PvP, I'll take off my Fox Prayer knee pads and I'll switch this for a blue core attribute. So we're still using the same Fox Prayer knee pads. The difference here is we have another blue on the build, bringing it to 1.5. And one thing to keep in mind here, because of the expertise system, once you get to a certain grade level on your gear, you're then going to gain an additional blue core attribute. So once that happens for me, once I increase my expertise level on my gear, and I get to that point where I get an additional blue core attribute, the goal for me is to bring this down to a total of 1.3 million armor. So we're going to go back to our primary knee pads here with the weapon damage, and once we increase our expertise armor on our gear, this should bring me to a total of 1.5 million armor in total. So it makes sense with this new meta to focus on adding more weapon damage core attributes on your build and focus on adding grade levels to your gear so you get that additional blue core attribute. For our specialization, we are going with the Gunner spec. Now with the Gunner spec, this provides us an additional 10% armor on kill. Since we have System Corruption, we are already getting an additional 15% armor on kill. With Gunner, that's going to increase that by 10%. Now keep in mind, we talked about the pulse resistance being added to every build. Inside of the specialization tree, you automatically get 50% pulse resistance, so make sure that this is fully leveled up. Now for our skills, we are using the Defender Drone. We have a 6.6% deflect duration mod, 5.7% damage reduction, and a total of 9.8% additional health. I have not upgraded my Defender Drone yet. I do have to add some more grade levels, but once I start upgrading my Defender Drone, that's going to increase the PvP damage reduction. For our secondary skill, we are using the Banshee Pulse, mainly for aggro with that disoriented status effect, an additional 15% radius thanks to the Gunner specialization, and an additional 15% effect duration. Now this is my current stat sheet. We have 31% critical hit chance with 105% critical hit damage. Now once we finally get that 10% pulse resistance mod, we're going to get rid of those 2 mods that I have on my build, and we're going to increase the critical hit chance by an additional 6%. Once I get that 10% mod, I will have a total of 36% crit chance with 105% crit damage. Now if we scroll down here to the defense stat sheet, we can see that our armor on kill is 328k. That's because of my System Corruption and because of the Gunner specialization. We switch our weapons to the MOP shotgun, you can see that my armor on kill goes up to 459k. And if we scroll down to the pulse resistance, I have a total of 109.1% pulse resist. Once I get that 10% mod, I will no longer be over the cap, so I should be at exactly 100% pulse resist. Now, just in case, if you were wondering, how do you obtain System Corruption? System Corruption is a PvP exclusive. The only way you can obtain System Corruption is if you're playing Conflict and you're earning the Conflict caches, or you can also find it in the Dark Zone when you're earning Dark Zone caches. It does have a chance to drop inside of those caches. Now with System Corruption, you cannot target the loot. It is not in the open world. I haven't seen it in the Dark Zone in a very long time as far as being targeted loot. Now, a good alternative to system corruption is running 3-piece yaw. Now, because this meta has shifted to more weapon damage instead of using crit, I decided to go with Catharsis and use hazard protection with 3-piece yaw. The 3-piece bonus of the yaw gear gives you 10% hazard protection, 5% additional weapon damage, and 40% pulse resist. Now, like I said, this build is a work in progress, but the talents are going to stay the same as I start working making this build better. Now, for my chest piece talent, I'm using Spotter with the linked laser pointer coming from the Technician Specialization. As long as I'm aiming at my target, I will always have my target pulsed, so I will always have Spotter active. For our secondary talent, we are using Companion. While you are within 5 meters of an ally or skill, total weapon damage is increased by 15%. To proc Companion, I'm using the Booster Hive as one of my skills. This is going to increase my hazard protection, weapon handling, and melee damage by an additional 28.5%. Now, once I proc this skill, the Booster Hive is always going to be next to my character, thus keeping Companion active at all times. Another way to keep Companion active is by using the Defender Drone. Defender Drone is always locked to your character, thus keeping Companion always active. For our weapon talent, we're using Flatline. This is going to amplify our weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. For our secondary weapon, we are using the custom M870 with the linked laser pointer attachment. The talent that we are using, Flatline, amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. So yeah, this is pretty much an alternative that you guys can use if you do not have system corruption. I would also recommend to add some hazard protection to this build. As long as you have weapon damage talents, you should be good to go. You don't really need crit on your builds anymore. The Catharsis is giving us an additional 30% weapon damage, a status effect cleanse, and a healing cloud. Our damage is going to come from Spotter and Companion. So that's pretty much all that I have for you guys today. If you have any questions about the build, feel free to comment down below. And also, do me a favor, if you really enjoyed this video, it will only take a second. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and share it out to a friend if you believe it's helpful. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next Division 2 video. Take care.